the solution in order to have lifetime results. Because the beauty of macros is that you can always measure, monitor, and adjust based on what's going on in your life, your stress levels, your muscle ratio, your goals, all the different things. That's the beauty of it. Hey you guys, welcome to the Strong Beauty Method podcast. This is Lydia Martinez Ebling, your host, and this is the go-to spot for every woman over 40 that wants to learn about being healthy, strong, and confident in their own skin. Okay, I am coming down to a landing in a sense. We're going to talk more about macros. If you've been following the last few episodes, you know we're on a series. It's called Mastering Your Metabolism, Unlocking the Secrets to Health, Fitness, and Aging at 40 and Beyond. Okay? And I decided to do this series because there was a lot of questions. And we've been talking about a lot of things. And I talked about the hormone weight gain cycle, talked about method versus cause, talked about macros, specifically protein and carbohydrates and why they're so important. And I've been talking about like grams and macros, and people are like, why are you doing macros? What is it about macros? So this episode, I'm going to talk about like really mastering your macros, understanding, because in the other episodes, if you haven't listened to them, you're thinking, okay, well, I've tried macros and it doesn't work for me. Tried counting calories and it doesn't work. And I address that on the surface level of why it might not be working. You see, one of the things that we do differently than what's out there, we have a whole hormone health hierarchy, but it's called your hormone macro code. And we help you identify what is your macro code, what is your macro type for your hormones when it comes to cleansing, supplementation, whatever imbalance that you're dealing with, and then of course sculpting your body. Everything's different, everything's bio-individual, and it really all depends on this hormone profile diagnostic that we take you through to identify where you need to start. And I share that with you so you understand. If you're just listening or you're just getting to know me, and you'll get to know my husband more and some of my friends, you're like, okay, what's the deal? Why macros? And because we've been in the industry for so long and we've done all the things. We've actually used to design programs for a company, and we just identified that macros work best because it's science. It's not just like about selling a product. It's not just about selling a program, a product, a supplement, or whatever. So we used to work for a network marketing company, and we developed programs for them when it comes to health, fitness, weight loss, to sell the supplements, to sell the shakes. And I'm not picking on that company, and I'm not picking on any company that does. I'm just saying we get better results by doing the things that we do now, and that's specifically really working with macros, especially as you're starting to mature, because your body's going through so many different things. So you can't do a one-size-fits-all type of thing. You just can't. And when it comes to macros, where you start is not where you stay. So I share that with you because you're like, okay, well, what should my macros be? And again, that's bio-individual. And there's the testing phase. I talked to you about protein and why protein's so important. I do my accent. Protein make you strong like bull. It's good for your bones. Okay. It really is, though. It's so important, right? It's super duper important. And I talked about the last episode, talked about carbohydrates and why they're super duper important for fat burning, for your stress levels, for sculpting your body. Carbohydrates are your friend, right? But there's maybe certain things that your body's going through, and you want to know, okay, well, what should my protein be? What should my carbohydrates be? What should my fat be? And I haven't talked a lot about fat, but fat is critical, right? You need fat for hormone production. Testosterone comes from cholesterol, okay? So you need that fat. And often, you'll go and see these calculators out there, macro calculators, and it's a great place to start. But when it comes to math, one of the things that we always teach our ladies, I say, it's not magic, it's math. But just because it's math doesn't mean it's absolute. Why? Because there's a lot of different variables, and I've mentioned that before. Because your age, your weight, your activity level, your muscle to fat ratio, have you had kids, have you had a surgery, do you have an autoimmune issue, are you on medication, were you on medication, what are your stress levels, all of this, have you gone through menopause or going through menopause, do you have PCOS, are you a type 2 diabetic, do you have a thyroid issue, get it? I mean, there's so many different variables that play when it come into play when it comes to like your macros, okay, and when it comes to like your fat. And people always want an absolute answer of like they want to do these calculators, and they're great to start, but then you wonder why you're not getting results. You're like, I tried macros, I tried the calorie thing, and it didn't work for me. And it's because it didn't take into account all the variables I just talked about. And it's a testing phase. And for some people, they're going to need a higher fat. Some people are going to need moderate fat. Some people are going to need a higher carbohydrate or moderate carbohydrate, or they might need to start with a lower carbohydrate and then titrate up. Some of you are going to have to titrate up on your protein. Majority of women, I talked about it, 30%, they say that less than 30% of women get the amount of protein that they need. And as we start to mature, you guys, we go through that hormonal decline. Automatically our stress on our body goes up. So that means our cortisol level goes up. We switch from our ovaries to our adrenals as far as hormone production, specifically those sex hormones. So that puts more stress on our body, more stress on our adrenals. The more stress we have, the lower hormone levels we have as far as our estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, well, the more insulin resistant we are. The more insulin resistant we are, the more we struggle. Well, that's why we're putting weight around our midsection. That's why you didn't change one stinking thing and you started gaining weight. You hit a certain age and like, crap, what the heck? And it's because of all of these things. So I'm like, I kind of go on a little tangent, but fat is really important. All your macros are really important, but everything is a balance, and it needs to be customized to you, but it also needs to be tested, right? There's a testing phase. So how do you figure out your macros? First, one of the things I talked about, and I've said it, and I want to say it again, is that you have to figure out where you are before you figure out how to get to where you want to go. You want to get to Disney, but you want to use your GPS, but you don't want to put in your starting destination. And then you're not putting in an exact address. You're just saying Disney. Well, if you just say Disney, then it's going to Disneyland or Disney World. If you just say Orlando, well, Kissimmee or whatever. You have to have a direct idea where you want to go. And your GPS wants to know exactly where you are, so it can give you the quickest route. So you could choose your route at the same time. And then you can identify what are the obstacles, what are the detours in that GPS list for your route. That's why it's really important that you find out where you are first, okay? And I talked about it. Get some type of app. We're actually working on an app right now. And it'll be released, working to release it in 2025, where it's going to be all comprehensive as far as intuitive technology. And I don't want to get into all that. But the thing is, it's putting in the app first, right? Okay, getting an app, whether it's the Lose It app or MyFitnessPal or whatever app you want to use to track your food, okay? Don't judge it. Just inspect it, okay? Put in your food for 7 days, average out your calories, average out your protein, fat, and carbohydrates, and then say, okay, let's do the math. What's the math? The math is dependent on, number one, do you want to lose weight? Do you want to maintain weight? Do you want to increase your muscle? Right? So sometimes like Rywell goes, do you want to bulk up? No woman ever says they want to bulk up. You want to tone up, and tone is just a weak word. What you want to do is you want to get strong. You want to build muscle. Okay? That's possibly what you're looking to do. You want to sculpt. You want to drop the weight around your midsection. You want to just not feel jiggly and flabby, soft and saggy. You want to feel strong and beautiful, right? Hence the strong beauty method. So what do? You figure out those numbers, and then where are you? And then let's do the math. First, the math is, what's your ideal weight and or what is your lean muscle mass? Okay, because you have to determine what your protein grams should be. What does that mean, or how can you, what's the easy, there's so many different ways to do it. The math part of it is taking your ideal weight or your muscle mass, right? Your lean muscle mass, and times it by 0.82. And that's going to give you the amount of protein in grams that you should be doing in a day. Okay? Now, the more fat you have on your body, that's why it's really important to say lean muscle mass, lean body mass, and or your ideal weight. Because if you're looking to lose weight, and or if you're a little bit more on, calorie challenge side, you're struggling with your weight, if you weigh 220 pounds and you times that by 0.82, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, that's a crap load of protein. And you're maybe only getting 60, 80 grams in. So that's daunting. The heavier you are, the lower you can go. You can go as low as 0.65, right? It's finding that balance. You can also, depending on your muscle to fat ratio right now, like one of the things that I do is I just go for, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So I weigh 124. That's the last time I weighed myself. I might weigh a little bit more because we've been traveling and all the things, But I go anywhere from 124 grams to 136 grams of protein a day. Okay? Why do I share that with you? Because there's different ways to go about it. One of the things I will say, and I've said this before, is don't ever go under 100 grams of protein per day because it's critical. The older you are, the even more important it is. Unless you weigh less than 100 pounds, you should never be consuming under 100 grams of protein a day. Okay? Now, sometimes some days aren't perfect. I get it. But you at least start there. Now, you have that math. Okay? So how do we work out the math? We work out the math in the sense of, okay, you figured out how many calories that you're taking in over that 7-day period. Do you want to lose weight? Then if you want to lose weight, we need to reduce the amount of calories. But you still need to maintain the amount of protein that you need. So remember, for every 1 gram of protein, you get 4 units of energy, 4 calories. For every 1 gram of carbohydrate, you get 4 units of energy, right? Calories. And for every 1 gram of fat, you get 9 if you're watching me, and if you're listening, I'm putting up the fingers, okay? 9 units of energy, 9 calories per gram, okay? And it's figuring out that math. So you can be aggressive, or you can, not be aggressive when it comes to doing, like, let's just talk about losing weight. You want to lose weight. You can reduce your caloric intake. If you're taking in, let's say you're taking in 2,200 calories and you want to lose weight. Well, reduce it by 10%. Reduce it by 15%. Reduce it by, 13%. You can go through those numbers, and then that's going to give you your calories for the day. But then what you need to do is with your grams, like with your protein grams, if it's 124 grams per day, you're going to need to times it by 4 and subtract those calories. Now, when it comes to your fat, general rule of thumb is that for women, you don't want to go under 25%. What does that mean? And hopefully you just didn't hear that. My stomach is growling right now. I fast. I talk about that, and I'm actually really hungry right now because I trained today, did a bunch of different things, and I'm like, let me pop out this episode, and I'm super hungry right now. Okay, I'll come back. I stopped digressing. Okay, so you need to figure out, like, if your deficit calories are 1,800 calories, 25% of that should be fat, minimum. Now, again, everything is bio-individual. For women that are going through menopause, it's actually a higher amount. You 55 grams, 65 grams, 70 grams, maybe even 80 grams. But not just menopause, then, okay, what's your genes tell you? Because, like, for me, example, I need a good amount of fat because I'm 54. And remember, we produce hormones from fat. However, my DNA, my genes, when I got my report for healthy living, my epigenetic, the genes that I can influence, shows that I really don't process fat, saturated fat, the same way an individual like my husband might. So that means that I really need to watch not only the quality of fat, but how much fat I take in on a regular basis. Doesn't mean I go low fat. It means I just might not go high where someone else that is going through menopause is at 70 grams, or I can only do it for a period of time. Hopefully that makes sense to you. So going back to the math, real simple. Let's make this simple to start. Is that figure out your calories, figure out what your goal is. Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to maintain? And then figure out your protein, the grams that it should be, and then how much calories is that? And then what are your calories left over? Because you have to subtract the amount of calories depending on what it is. If it's 1,800 calories, you're going to subtract your protein calories. And then just divide the 2 in half. Why? The calories that are left over, just divide it in half. Put that towards fat, put the other towards carbohydrates, and start there. Because remember I said it's like a testing phase? Now that might be a lot of carbohydrates for you. So you might need to reduce the amount of carbohydrates. When you reduce the amount of carbohydrates, you're reducing your calories. So that means that you have to make up the calories somewhere. What's that mean? It means that you need to increase your fat. Now maybe you need more fat. If you're increasing your fat, you need to reduce your calories. If you need you need to decrease your carbohydrates. If you decrease your carbohydrates to super low, you gotta make it up in fat. Get it? So that's the testing phase. That's the simple math. You're like, Lydia, that's not really simple. No, it really is. Just start testing. One of the things I'm going to suggest, and I've been talking about it on every episode, is go get Hormone Reset 101 guide, because I go through all the basics for you, just where you can start. Again, what I do is not necessarily what you're going to need, but I can tell you this. When it comes to macros, if you're patient with yourself and knowing and understanding that you're really designing a lifestyle that's going to make you feel better, increase your energy, get you the body that you want, and feel great, like confident in your skin, then it's worth the testing phase. So because you got all these programs out here, let's do 30 pounds in 30 days. Let's do the semaglutide. And I'm not against, guys, if that's what you want to do, then that's what you want to do. I don't judge anyone, but I'm going to tell you the solution in order to have lifetime results. Because the beauty of macros is that you can always measure, monitor, and adjust based on what's going on in your life, your stress levels, your muscle ratio, your goals, all the different things. That's the beauty of it. And remember, I said it on the last episode, when it comes to your hormones and hormone balance and really resetting your metabolism, it has to start with your nutrition. Get it? Got it? Good. I could keep going, but let's start with that because I know that's like a lot of things. Go ahead and comment whatever questions you might have, what clarifications you might need, and I'll expand on it. But you can start there, and if you're wondering about the Hormone Reset 101 guide, it's completely free. It's in the show notes, or it's below if you're watching on YouTube. And again, I always want to say, thank you. Thank you for spending time with me. I hope this helps. I hope this makes sense. We're coming down for a landing. We're coming in for a landing when it comes to this series. And I got some cool things happening for you. I can't wait. But anyway, all right, so start there with the math. Start, inspect, right? Don't beat yourself up. Do the math. It's not magic, it's just math. You got this. I'll see you guys on the next episode.